doing today? I'm so honored to be here, so thank you for having me. Just gonna put my little trans flags out, you know, a little pride. Is Reverend Kent here today? No. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna remember him. Per your request, I just wanted to go ahead and explain what the Alphabet Mafia is, our LGBTQIA2S plus community. We're expanding. We have LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, trans. Then the next part is IA2S plus, and the 2S plus has been one of our recent expansions. And so the I is for intersex, A is for asexuality, the 2S is for two-spirit, and those are in honor of our more indigenous communities. And then the plus for everybody else, whoever wants to join, we're open. So I just wanted to say my name's Allie, and I use they, them pronouns. I am a volunteer at the Orange County LGBT Center, and I am the secretary for the Trans Committee. So we organize community events for our trans people in the trans community, and that consists of things like our binder closet or our glam closet. And yesterday we had Friendsgiving. We were able to feed over 350 meals, and we had about 40 volunteers show up to plate some donated food. And then when we ran out of drivers, we were able to do something called a moonwalk, where we just walked around the community and delivered meals to anybody that was open to receiving a meal yesterday. So that was heartwarming, and tonight we're having a candlelight vigil at the center, so we're going to be on Zoom and reading some lists of names of people who have passed away this past year. And I also am a mentor at the Los Angeles LGBT Center for youth, and then my 9-to-5 is paralegal. And the thing that brings me the greatest joy is every Monday, Wednesday, I am a youth and a young adult trans, non-binary facilitator for those who are 11 to 17 and then 18 to 26. And it's kind of like a group therapy setting, so we get to talk about our feelings and how everybody in the room is kind of processing and going through similar things. And I just am huge on believing that there's so much strength in community and understanding representation or seeing others go through similar things and how they're dealing with it. And I just think there's so much beauty, and the little ones they're so cute. Yeah, I just love holding space for this next generation. Oh no, not the flag. Appreciate you. Sorry, thank you. Oh, love that. So just understanding what acceptance means, especially for the youth. And they're so fierce, and they know who they are. I mean, I can't imagine coming out and being supported at 11 years old. And one of the other things that I am really proud of is during the summer, I'm a queer camp counselor, and those ages can range from 8 to 17. And I studied for like a few semesters, for my master's program in clinical psychology, and it turns out you can come out at 4 years old. So I thought that was really astonishing. That's when we start developing crushes on people around us, and so you could know, or people could know at 4 years old. I thought that was just incredible, magical. So I think it's important in finding representation, especially because if you are a little bit different than your family, it's so important to be able to see others that you strive to be, and maybe aren't seeing that in your immediate family. So today is Trans Day of Remembrance, and I just wanted to start with the definition of transgender. And that is a person whose identity does not correspond to their reproductive functions. And as TDOR, we read out a list of our ancestors, people who have passed away in the last 365 days because they were trans. And I believe that the list of names read are too many names. And I think that if there's any name on that list, it's too many. The sadness is that the list does continue to grow, and history has shown us that we don't want to be on any list. As a trans masculine human being, Trans Day of Remembrance is one of the hardest days of the year. It's a marker that memorializes the people who have lost their lives due to transphobic violence and discrimination. I think it's a difficult day for all of us. For trans people, it's a sharp reminder that as far as we've come, we still have a long way to go. I want to remember and honor their lives and their struggles. It's amazing that as recent advances in trans rights awareness and understanding, we still have people who fall through the cracks. Transphobic violence still has a huge impact on our communities, both overt and covert. It can be something as obvious as an assault, or something insidious as refusing to acknowledge someone's gender or pronouns under the disguise of policy or rules, or that's how it's always been. And my favorite is, I'm too old to learn or to understand. One of my favorite examples of this would be when people get married and they change their last names, and it's so easy for people to understand the new last name. And as a trans person, or I'm sure there are some straight people, cis hetero people out there that also want to change their names, and I think that that is just as parallel as when we get married and being able to change our first name. So I always use that example of when people get married. This isn't easy to talk about, and it isn't easy to watch. I know that, but it's important to talk about it, especially if you're not trans yourself. Really think about the daily reality we face. There's a lack of gender-affirming coverage, the cost of transition, exclusions from shelters, the number of trans women in men's prisons, the 20 states that are currently legislating against trans athletes, trans homeless, suicides, murders, unemployment, and the addiction epidemic. The things that need to change, or the things that need to get better, and I believe they will. I firmly believe in a world where lists are a thing of the past. While we might disagree on some things, a person's gender identity will never be the basis for discrimination or violence. Where trans people can live happy lives without ever having to think about all of this. The reality is that trans people are still massively overrepresented in having negative mental health conditions. And I thought that this was interesting. In 1990, the World Health Organization, or WHO, removed homosexuality from the DSM, which is the Manual for Mental Health Disorders. So homosexuality was just removed in 1990, and this just in, but only in 2019, the members of the World Health Organization removed transgender. They voted to remove transgender from the DSM, which is the Manual for Mental Health Disorders, as no longer a mental health disorder. And so that was voted on in 2019, but it wasn't effective until just this year. So as of January 1st, 2022, transgender is not a mental health disorder. Yeah. It's huge. This was also, they tried to do this to remove some of the stigmas of the transgender community being, having the stigma of being mental, or, I mean, just, could you imagine letting me up here a year ago, you know? With that many emotions, there is sadness and grief at the loss. We feel so shocking, and its tragedy so great, and its numbers so gripping, and its connection to each other for many of us. There is this awakened sense of personal vulnerability that the violent hate crimes against trans individuals we see in the news, it can become a fear we experience in our own personal lives. Coming together to honor those lost so tragically and senselessly in our community is sobering. Also, on a side note, I'm sober. I have about 2 years. I found out a couple years ago that alcohol companies target the LGBT community, saying that we're trendy. So, and I also believe that the opposite of addiction is connection, and so through volunteering and creating communities, we don't feel so alone. And I do believe that the world tries really hard to isolate us and just make us separate instead of cooperative. But I also think that we have great courage, and this new generation of trans youth who are illuminating the pathway for this journey so that they and others may not endure this discrimination, the hate crimes, and the self-hate that many other transgender individuals have suffered. As a mentor for trans youth and families, this is a time of needing to be able to reach out and do things. Some of the little kids tell me their stories of bravery and kindness when they're able to make friends with their bullies, find the courage to come out to their parents, and I always say that they don't have to come out. You don't have to come out to anybody you don't feel safe to. You don't have to come out every day. You don't have to come out to survive. I've also heard of teachers helping children when the parents aren't as accepting, and help, like the teachers are also being able to help the kids transition. And one of my favorite things when in the summertime when I'm a queer camp counselor, we go around and we do daily wellness checks, make sure nobody has COVID, and check their temperature. And so every morning I would ask all the little kids, oh, what do you want your pronouns to be today? Like, this is a week to be able to play and choose your own pronouns, or are there different names that you want to experience? And there was one kid, every day they would choose a different name, and by the end of the week they went home with different pronouns. And I just thought that was so magical to be able to give these kids, the kids that I was a camp counselor for were 11 to 13, and they were just able to really feel safe and play with that idea that they do have the power to be whoever they want and change if they so desire. Not me pushing the gay agenda. One of my favorite stories is this little kid she changed her pronouns and she changed her name. And one of the holidays when her family would come over and they would misgender her or call her by her dead name, which is typically the name that you're born with. And if you choose to change your name, then your original name would become your dead name. So her family would use her dead name or her pronouns, and so she had a little air horn. And every time they would misgender her or use the wrong pronouns, she would beep that little air horn. And you bet that her family learned that holiday. I navigated my journey not knowing trans was even an option. The fact that our disappearance was so normalized never occurred to me until I started volunteering with the LGBT centers in Long Beach, San Diego, and Orange County. I saw a representation of those who came before me and those who lifted me up and empowered me to show my true colors. Gender is a spectrum. I experienced other trans people's struggles and related so much. It felt like home for the first time in my life, especially since I am estranged from my family. When trans people reach out, it only took one word, and that word was help. I come from an Irish, Italian, Catholic family. I went to Catholic school. I was also kicked out of Catholic school. I had trouble wearing, I didn't really want to wear the skirts. I didn't want to wear the dresses, so I would wear the shorts. I got in trouble for playing in the dirt. I had a short little bob haircut, and I would always wrestle with the boys, and my teachers did not like that. I was too much for their small box and their labels. In high school, I was on the surf team. I hung out with the skater boys. I was in the barbecue club. I also I kind of felt like I was a little matchmaker because all my friends were boys, so all the girls would talk to me to go talk to their crushes. And I didn't really understand the feeling of why I liked talking to all the girls, but I was also very shy, so I would hang out with boys. But I loved being the matchmaker. In 6th grade was the first time that I told one of my friends that I had a crush on them. We didn't talk after that. I thought it was, okay to like whoever you liked. I had no idea. But in college, I joined the LGBT Center, not exactly sure if I was just an ally or if I was an actual LGBTQIA2S+. Immediately, I knew that I was definitely gay because I had a crush on every girl there. I felt accepted, strong, confident, and really lucky to be able to love whoever I wanted. I wasn't judged. I wasn't asked to tell other people that they had crushes on each other. I didn't feel like a matchmaker. I was just kind of able to be myself. I wasn't masking or concealing my identity to fit in, either with my family or society. I could be me and create my own identity for the first time in my life. I went through the roller coaster of the LGBTQIA2S+ identities. First I thought I was bisexual, then a lesbian, and now I identify as queer. I soon realized that my high femme, girly girl identity almost felt like a response that I had to mask in order to pass as straight and to kind of take any attention off of me. I didn't really want to stand out. And I did have my first girlfriend in college. We were together for about 8 years. And then we always struggled with gender roles, like who would be the boy, who would be more masculine, who would have the baby. Before we even discussed if we wanted babies, or if it was just another item on the checklist of what society expects from us, get married, have a house, have babies. We broke up. It was complicated. I'm a double Cancer sign, and I could not handle all of the emotions of being with another girl. It was a lot. So I really, out of all the places that I felt like I could come out, my first euphoric moment was at the DMV, and there are these little boxes you could check of male or female or non-binary, and I saw non-binary and was like, this makes sense. And it was kind of like the first place that I was able to see them all together and just put the pieces together. It really made sense. And without hesitation, I knew every molecule in my being was lighting up. And if I could see myself now, like back in the day, I feel like the little Allie, like checking that non-binary box, I bet I was absolutely levitating. Like, I was so happy. I felt validated and alive in my knowing and my truth. My body was just zinging, zing, zing, zing. I had an idea of what non-binary was, but I didn't even know that it was for me. I didn't realize that I had the freedom to just check a box and then kind of own it. I did feel like it wasn't able to be taken away from me. It's now on this plastic little card, and I just feel so confident. Immediately I went home, I told all my best friends, I researched pronouns, I looked up gender neutral terms, I found pride flags, and I shaved my head. At that moment, it felt like my life had just begun. It felt like I finally knew who and what I was becoming, and that nothing could stand in my way. No one could take this away from me. It felt protective, and it felt like inner child healing, in that I have to reparent myself and teach myself these things. It seemed so bizarre at first because I'm an adult. I had a really good childhood, and I thought that that's what my parents are for. I don't need inner child healing. I don't need to talk to little Allie. But it turns out that my parents only accepted me if I had long hair, if I fit into society, if I was a lesbian. It was even a stretch. As soon as I shaved my head, the acceptance went right out the door with my hair trimmings. My parents would say, just marry a man, your life will be easier. Grow your hair out a few more inches. Don't dress so gay. Don't be gay on social media. One time I was telling my parents that, I want to join a gay softball league. And my parents were, they were like, why do you have to join a gay softball league? Why can't you just join a straight softball league and be the gay person on it? They also told me that hanging out with gay people will only make me gayer, which I really liked. So I said, well, pass the water because I will have whatever they are drinking. I never doubted myself because choosing me was always what brought me the most joy. So that's what I kept chasing. I vowed only to chase anything that brought me joy. I only surrounded myself with people who also celebrated my joy. I chased joy like I was running from a fire. And now I don't update my biological family on what's happening in my life. They don't know my friends or what I do on the weekends. We don't see each other for holidays. They don't know that I have chosen family. I feel like they would be a little jealous that I have like 4 dads and 20 moms and countless siblings now. Now that I am identifying as transmasculine, it's a different set of questions. Which bathroom should I use? Am I going to transition medically? Will I still be trans if I don't transition? Am I queer or gay? If I date a lesbian, does that make me a lesbian? What is gender fluid? Will I be accepted? Do I want to change my name? How many times can I change my name? How long will all this take? Do I want kids? Who am I asking permission for? When will I give myself the permission? The permission to come out. The permission to evolve and grow and expand. The truth is, I don't have to be the same person I was 10 years ago, 2 years ago. I don't have to be the same person I was 3 months ago or even 15 minutes ago. I'm allowed to grow and hold space for myself. I'm allowed to expand and breathe. In hopes of trans youth, we are who we are. We must live our lives authentically, speaking out often. Time has its repercussions for those of us who have been advocates for years, and some of us here today have personally paid for this by the loss of unemployment, the loss of a loved one, or loss of hope. But those of us who speak out for what we believe in and who refuse to take no for an answer, we have made many milestones in our journey: justice system and then public awareness. We passed the Gender Non-Discrimination Act so that we are legally protected from losing our jobs simply for being our true, authentic self. We passed the Vital Statistics Act so that our legal documents match our true identities. And most recently, the School Success and Opportunity Act so that our trans youth have the right to participate fully and succeed in school with all the other students. We did not give up. We stood up for what we believed in. We were heard and we made history. Today, right now, we can give this personal vow and tribute to those whose lives were so cruelly cut short. Today, we can decide not to live in fear, for tomorrow holds the promise of living a world of compassion and acceptance for all. Today, we can choose. The light of what our candles mean is to take another hand, leave another's burden, or simply acknowledge another has it worse. We can enjoy the voices of our friends, the warmth of another's handshake, or the comfort of their embrace. We can truly treasure another day with our families and our loved ones, and we can choose it to keep the memory of the flaming candles. We will hold before us as a solemn reminder of what it is that we aim to gather, to live, to work together, and to soar, to go forth together with our community. Our community has endured so much. It continues navigating a pandemic without a safety net. We have found our strength to house, to feed, and to provide health care to our communities. And we've always risen together to demand a change of justice, for inclusion, for compassion, for a new world. We are resilient, and we have always been resilient. We know that when there are no more names on that list, we are making progress. It's nice to see old trans people, and it's also nice to hear from the younger trans people. The voices are so different. Youngsters have a sense of fearlessness. We are not going to be silenced. They're going to speak out. The older people have lived through different times, and it's nice to see the mashing of generations. The other thing is that I would love to see a world where you can feel comfortable being yourself, in that you can talk to people. It really isn't more complicated than that. Trans Day of Remembrance is held to memorialize Rita Hester. She was killed in 1998, and the following year, in 1999, started the Trans Day of Remembrance. It's not just awareness, but also how we can make change an option, how we can go beyond just educating each other and our friends and family or our coworkers, and also how we can also implement workplace policies, guidelines, recommendations to truly protect every single one of us. Our community is more visible, but the downside of more visibility comes more violence. That shows up especially when we talk about our trans folks of color. Our trans sisters are targets in very specific ways. Even if we don't know them individually, it still has a very emotional impact on us. As a community, we make up 1%. We make up 1% of the entire nation's community. Being such a small community, we all may not know each other, but we feel each other. I think we get focused on this idea of this representation. We're on the day-to-day level we have to think about as a person. I just want respect. I want to be respected as a human. So if folks realize and remember that you are human, no more than I am human and no less than, let's give each other human respect. Those that we've lost to violence were human beings with dignity and respect. Lives with love and laughter and joy as a community, as a movement, as people. We need your help to end this epidemic of violence. If you need support, don't hesitate to reach out to the people around you. We're a strong and a resilient community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And rest assured that there are people fighting hard every day to combat transphobia and make amazing progress for our community. Things will get better. Take care out there.